you were able to touch on something beyond that is not really expressible in words, but you see the pain of the seeking energy co-opting it constantly. And also the misleading from teachers that keep telling you to do something. Yeah, it's not in that. It's not in that at all. If anything, you see that all it does is perpetuate an illusion. And so it's actually really beautiful that you see that. Like you've seen it enough to be like, that's not it. And there could still be doubt just because everyone is saying a very similar thing. But it's a great place to be because you're kind of done. So it's not the wanting that's the problem, that's free to be here. It's the belief that peace is somewhere else. So anything that arises isn't in your control. There's actually nothing you can do about it. You're not responsible for it. It simply arises if it arises, and no one's in control of the next moment because there is no next moment. Hear what I'm saying not as a prescription, but this can just hear it as empty words. They're not meaningful, they're not important. There's nothing that you have to do to make this already this. Whatever arises, whatever thoughts, whatever feelings, it's literally just here if it's here. The illusion is that we're in control of how life appears. And our idea of how it should be is the suffering. Yeah, it's not just mine. There is an energetic sense in the body that made it feel like you are a separate agent from life. So when that softens, which is going to be different for everyone if it does happen, you see that there is no reality here. There is no importance here. There's nothing that actually mattered here. There's nothing that you did that was wrong. There's nothing that anyone did that was wrong. We're we're born in these crazy bodies that can perceive separation, that can feel like a separate individual. And because of that, immense suffering does arise. We try to control ourselves and others. It's a massive burden for the body. And so everything becomes important, and I'm more special than everything else. It can't help but do that. That is the place of perception for the person. So or the person is that sense of here, of me. So it can't help but perceive from that and only that. Yeah. It makes sense to me though. Like everything you're saying resonates a lot. It's very familiar with how it's happening here. I think maybe the little bit of like, is this okay? Because not many people talk about what this is actually like. And it's nice to sometimes have confirmation that actually what's happening to you like is totally normal. It makes sense. All of the needs and desires and yeah, needing to hold on to something or needing to control people, needing to change someone, it all does just soften on its own. There is kind of a frustration that no one understands you because you have to go through this in order to really understand, to just understand. And it can be a very sad and frustrating, kind of lonely thing that no one around you really understands. So I would even say that the anger is very normal. Awakening doesn't matter anymore. So I feel like you've, you know, done everything that's necessary conceptually to unwind the mind enough for it to see that it's not in the mind. It's not a concept. It's not a thing at all. And, the term awakening, what it actually is just the immediacy of what is, which is unknown, which can't be described, which can't be known. And I would be cautious of people describing things like that. It could be an expression of a glimpse or just a seeing, which is fair enough. It's not like that all the time. It does eventually, apparently over time, it can soften the sense of reality of like real objects anywhere. It naturally can soften, but it does that on its own when there is a clear and clear seeing that you're not in control of the mind, of the thoughts, of the emotions, of how you feel, how the body feels, what's happening. You don't even know really what's happening. What you said about the relationship thing, the desire here has completely dissolved as well. And it was a shock to me because I think it was one of the biggest dreams here to have a partnership. And it was partially to save me from how unbearable this was. And where I've landed is where you've landed, where it's like the energy to now compromise for anything is very, very minimal. I cannot do it. Yeah. Because in society, everyone's desperate to have something, and that's one of the ways of having something. And here, you're actually depleting to a degree where you don't need anything anymore. It could be weird for other people to perceive you because they won't understand. Yet the beauty of where you are is that you're not really enticed in the same way of a lot of things. A lot of things have fallen away for you. So it's in a way it's a beautiful place because you're not enticed by the getting a relationship, like that will be the answer, or the idea of awakening, like that will be the answer. You're at a place where it's like, no, I've done that. It's still not it. Nothing actually needs to be different. I know that right now it doesn't feel like the way that people might describe, but fuck all of that. Like literally just like who the fuck cares? Because it's really about just landing here. And it's not that something lands here. It's just like what this is. What is here? That's the only thing that there is. There's nothing you could do to get to it. Yeah, there's no accumulation of things that will get you to it. Yeah, because there's nothing to pray to. I will say that prayer for me fell away for a while after I kind of naturally left the spiritual path. But one time that it did arise very naturally, I think was when I saw how deeply people were suffering, and there was a genuine, it might have been something like, I really wish that people wouldn't suffer so much. And it felt like a prayer, but, or a wish, I don't even know. And then it left. It didn't mean anything. I don't know what I was talking to. It came very spontaneously, you know? It was just, and I think that's the only prayer that kind of arose. Yeah. Have you been praying for a long time? That is helpful for a period when you might be suffering. It's it's a way to keep you trapped in the end, just like everything else. So it feels like a loss, of course, when you're kind of sensing that maybe it's not really necessary in the way that you were doing it. It doesn't mean that it needs to stop, but yeah, there can be a sense that maybe I don't know what I'm praying to when this is it. There's no separation, there's no higher, lower. Yeah, death isn't real. Life isn't real. Your story, the story that you thought you lived, is not what actually happened. So even if the physical body dies, nothing is happening. Nothing is being lost. Nothing changes. It's always this. So I would say that as long as that longing is there, cherish it, honor it, let it be there. It's there's nothing wrong with it at all. You're not even producing it. It's just there if it's there. I but I would say that in the death of any type of here and there, any type of differentiation, there's no relationship at all. It's already everything. Yeah, there's still love, but it's not, it doesn't feel personal anymore. It doesn't feel owned. It doesn't feel like I need to do anything about it. It just is there. There's kind of a sense that I don't even have to tell them. And I don't need to tell them. I know that I'll be there for them if they really need. But I don't even need to reassure them. What I can sense is that they sense an openness here, that I don't care how you live. So it feels very non judgmental, I'm guessing. And they're really free to express how they feel. And I think that they appreciate that, even if they're not conscious of it. And what I can say is that this body can no longer retain mental relationships. I used to think about my mom and my sister and my friends to maintain a relationship and feel bad about it if I don't. But things just arise spontaneously. Like maybe calling my mom happens, but it dissolves so fast. Like they don't exist if they're not here in front of me. Yeah, it used to make me very, very sad, because I was dying. So so it was kind of the loss of that relationship. And there was a deep heartbreak of that. But it's okay if they go. It's okay if this goes. That makes a lot of sense. Because you're right. If you get sick, you'll get sick. You'll naturally take care of the body, but it's also like you don't need to stress about it because the stress adds to the harm of it, you know? It's just like unnecessary. I think it's good that you're asking the questions if you want, and I'll respond. But yeah, ultimately, where this is going is nowhere. It sounds like there's been a massive falling away. And it's just going to keep doing that. It was never really in your control. It might have felt like it was, but yeah, isn't that beautiful? That's gorgeous for me to hear that. Because what's wrong with sadness? There's nothing wrong with it. The heartbreaking is the shields of protection that we've had. It is kind of breaking and softening, and you're opening up to basically everything, to the point where there's an inability to distinguish here and there, inside, outside. I would say that is the main thing that was happening here, and that's why I was crying for 2 years. I don't even know. Like, it was a lot of crying because I was breaking up with everything. Over a parent time, I could feel a depth of freedom that was more apparent the more I grieve something, or the more that I lost. Actually, I kind of felt more at peace overall. Maybe not in the moment. Sometimes in the moment there was just a tornado of something. I just mean, like, overall there was some sort of peace that was much more prominent. It was more easily sensed. Yeah, it was at moments it was hard, but then it kind of became so beautiful when my heart would just break and there would just be a river of tears, and there was such beauty in just that. And then, like you said, there was such a lightness afterwards, like, wow. um yeah, this is not what you would expect. It's not a road for people who want to be special, blissful, and ecstatic. It really is like your heart will be broken open to a point where it's like, can I cry anymore? Yeah, it's completely shattered. It's beautiful to hear people speak like this. And I can sense when not that it's important. It really isn't, but people say relatively similar things, like seeing the gift of losing something. It does open up a sort of, that is the sort of portal to everything, because the holding on to something is the suffering. And when your heart breaks and you lose something, you see that you never really needed to hold on to that in that way for safety. That was actually the real suffering.